Okay, hey guys. I miss you guys and I hope everybody is doing so great. Today we are going to talk about understanding emotional development of infants. When I say we, I guess I am. Never done this before, so bear with me. So the main idea of today is how a caregiver plays a large role in a baby's emotional development, helping them learn to express their feelings and develop a personal identity of just who they are and where they fit into your life. So if we were in class, I would ask you, why do you think caregivers are vital to babies' emotional development? I want you to think about your answers. And I wish that we could say them out loud, but here we are. You may be thinking that because the caregiver has the most interaction with that baby on a daily basis, you may be thinking that that's who they are developing a bond with first, or maybe that's who takes care of their needs. That's who's consistently in their life. So emotions and emotional development. Emotional and social development begins at birth and continues throughout life. Like you're still developing emotionally and socially. I'm still developing emotionally and socially. It continues throughout your whole life. Emotional development is the process of learning to recognize and express feelings and to establish a personal identity. The most important influences on a child's emotional development are the bond between the caregiver and the child, the temperament of the child, and the atmosphere of the home. Again, the most important influences on a child's emotional development is the bond they have with the caregiver, the temperament of that child, and the atmosphere of their home. Newborns feel basic emotions such as contentment and distress. Parents and caregivers play a large role in shaping a baby's emotions, and parents and caregivers can encourage positive emotions. So, emotions of crying. How do infants show their emotions and needs? How do you show your emotions and your needs? Around 2 months of age, babies start to vary their cries to express different feelings. They can't talk yet, so their cry is how they express how they feel. Parents may eventually learn what each cry means. This adds to the baby's comfort and encourages the expression of emotions. It also strengthens the parent-child bond if the parent, comes to that child whenever the baby cries, instead of just letting that baby sit there and lay there and just, cry it out. A baby who is crying needs attention and care. If we were in class, I would say, okay, class, how would you go about trying to comfort a crying baby? What are some things that you would look for? What actions would you take? Would you look for a dirty diaper? Would you try to think back of their schedule and remember the last time they ate? Have you just fed them and they just need to be burped? A baby who's crying needs attention and care. Doesn't mean that they're spoiled whenever you pick them up and they stop crying. They just crave that touch from their caregiver. Babies also find ways to comfort themselves with their favorite blankets or stuffed animals. Maybe some of you guys still have a favorite blanket or stuffed animal that you like to cuddle with, whenever you were a baby and you've just kept it for all these years. Some babies twist their hair. Some babies rock themselves. A lot of babies suck on their thumb. It is the most common self-comforting technique, and it's just a really easy go-to for the baby because, it's part of their body and it's right there. Pacifiers can help babies calm down and can also help babies fall asleep. So development of basic emotions. By 9 months, babies can show these basic emotions. They show sadness by crying. They show anger by crying. They show interest by watching somebody, especially mama, because mama does so much for them. They show disgust by facial expressions. They show fear by, they're startled. They turn away. They may start screaming and crying. And then they show joy by smiling. It is normal for infants to cry between 1 to 3 hours a day. Two common causes for excessive crying in infants are colic and reflux. You guys may have experienced colics and reflux as a baby. If you have, I'm sure your mom has told you about it because it's not fun. Colic is an uncontrollable crying by an otherwise healthy baby. They may cry for 3 or more hours each day, for 3 or more days a week, or for 3 weeks or more. Colicky babies usually cry at the same time each day, normally between 6 in the evening till midnight. And it's often difficult to comfort them because their belly's hurting. They just may feel anxious. They may be allergic to their formula. And that's something that, as a caregiver, you have to decide, what is going on with your baby. The symptoms of colic are normally subside around 3 to 4 months of age. Reflux is a condition in which partially digested food rises in the throat. Reflux can cause forceful vomiting and intense crying. A baby can take medication if needed for reflux. Attachment and emotional development. So attachment is a baby's bond to his or her main caregiver. Attachments are crucial or essential to the healthy emotional development of an infant. A healthy attachment helps a baby develop trust, self-esteem, and social emotional skills. Attachment begins to develop in the first few months of life. It is fully formed around the age of 2. So if that baby doesn't have a healthy attachment to their caregiver before the age of 2, later on in life, that adult is going to have a very hard time attaching to people because that sense of trust was broken a long time ago. And we'll talk about it a little bit later, but they'll have to have some kind of psychological help in order just to be able to form healthy attachments to people. Love and affection from parents and other caregivers foster a sense of trust. So if you don't give a baby that trust from early on, that hinders how they have relationships with people or form relationships with people later on in life. Okay, so you build attachment with infants through touch, consistent care, and communication. Touch is the primary sense for infants. It's how they experience and respond to their environment. They have a very basic need for physical contact. If you remember back to Maslow's hierarchy, that very first level of the pyramid is physical needs. And a baby's basic need is physical contact. And that is one of the big ways that you build an attachment through baby is just through that touch. Another way is through that consistent care, always being there if they cry, figuring out what they need to make them stop crying and just always being there for them. And then also through communication, just responding to them whenever they're smiling at you or reading to them or singing to them, making eye contact with them whenever you're, changing their diaper or feeding them and things of that nature. Okay, so we've talked about failure to thrive before, but it's basically just a lack of love and attention. It's a condition in which babies do not grow and develop properly. They don't respond to people or objects after a certain period of time. Their cries actually weaken and they really just stop crying. They don't smile anymore. They just lay there. Even if they're hungry, even if they have a bad diaper, they just lay there because they know their needs are not going to be met by a caregiver, which is very sad and very hurtful. And as an adult, it's going to be very hard for them to form relationships with people because they didn't have that trust whenever they were newborns. Failure to thrive can be caused by neglect, can be caused by abuse. They could be stressed. Maybe mom is trying to breastfeed the baby and doesn't realize that baby's not getting enough to eat. And so the baby's crying and mom doesn't understand why. And then after so long, baby's not thriving because they're not eating, they're not getting the nutrients they need, which is really sad, but this happens. So temperament is a person's unique emotional makeup. Everybody has a different temperament. You could have a intense temperament. You could be persistent. You could be sensitive. You could be easily approached. Okay, so emotional climate of the home. Do you think babies can pick up on negative feelings from the caregiver? Yes or no? They absolutely can. Babies are sensitive to the feelings of people around them. They're the most sensitive to their caregivers because, especially mom, because they were in mom's womb. They know mom. They know what her voice sounds like when she's upset. They feel her heartbeat. They pick up on all these things. Babies are influenced by adults' emotions. They're influenced by your tone of voice. Like, have they been crying and you're just very frustrated? They can pick up on that. Are you happy and you smiling at them and you're talking to them, with a smile on your face? They can pick up on that. They also pick up on your facial expressions. If you have feelings of bitterness, and anger, it can actually hinder or delay their emotional development because they are very sensitive and they pick up to their caregiver's energy. All right, so we are going to do the review in class, but we are not in class, and I miss you guys tremendously. I am going to put what you guys are doing for the assignment down below. If you have questions, Google Hangouts me, or email me, or just wait till tomorrow and we can talk about it whenever we meet up for our Google Meets. I'll see you guys later.